Hello, my dear one. Lenka Lutonska here, founder of Business Energetics Academy. And yes, this video I am bringing you from my gorgeous garden because we just came back from family vacation and the garden greeted us with just explosion of color. And I thought it would be shame not to bring my garden to you and not just to share the beauty. You see, this garden has also been my business coach on my way to build a multi seven-figure a year business that changes lives across the world. And this garden itself carries so many quotes, principles, perhaps you may call them lessons, that have been more than useful for me and my business journey. So I want to share a few of those with you. So again, a little different video. Grab a cup of coffee and let's go through those beautiful lessons that you can take from my garden over to your business and life. So here's the business energetics garden lesson number 1. There is no such a thing I cannot. There are only things I haven't tended to yet. Let me explain. Before I built this garden and before we moved into this property 6 years ago, I wasn't a gardener. In fact, I thought that I don't have a green thumb. And the reality was everything green and alive around me, the plants were dying. Even those house plants, a few house plants I had at the time, I just couldn't take care of them. And I genuinely thought that I don't have it in me. I don't like gardening. I don't have a green thumb. But then something happened as we moved to this beautiful house and garden, and the previous owner left some of the pots with nice arrangements, nice flower arrangements around. And I was noticing how one by one they were dying, and it bothered me. So I told myself, actually, no, I'm going to take care of this garden. And I just started little by little with container gardening. In other words, I went to garden center, filled those pots with new plants and started to take care of them. Then over time, I started to read about how to take care of this plant and that plant and what arrangements of plants look good together. In other words, I started to learn about gardening, and more I would go into garden for leisure and pleasure. And well, here we are a few years later, and I couldn't imagine my life without garden and without gardening. I love gardening. It's something so earthy about it, to get my hands dirty, to envision something and co-create with nature. There's so much beauty in gardening. But would I imagine I can be, dare I say, very good at it some years back? Hell no. And so same is in business, you see. So often clients will come and say, I'm not naturally good at selling, or I'm not naturally good at online marketing. Well, naturally you might not be, but if there is a desire in you to be a really, well, let's say globally known coach or change maker, and if that's your desire or niggle in your mind that I would love to be a powerful marketer, or I would love to love marketing, I would love to love selling, well, remind yourself there's no such a thing. I can't. There's just things that you haven't tended to yet. If there is a desire, if there's even a little, wouldn't it be nice if idea you have inside of you what it takes to be excellent at it, but you've got to tend to it. Just like little by little I started to tend to my garden and gardening, you've got to tend to little by little, and then more and more to your, I don't know, marketing, selling, business development, or whatever you want to become excellent at. All right? And now on to business energetics gardening lesson number 2. And that is that while feminine beauty is amazing, without masculine structure, at one point it becomes a wild chaos. So, in other words, we want to embrace masculine structures in our business, in our lives. You see, initially when I started with this garden, I would just go to garden center and just buy plants that were blooming there and then, and oh, this will go nicely with this, and this will go nicely with this. I started to create the borders around the garden, and for a while it looked really great. I was so proud I would have a new borders with lots of colors in it. But few weeks went by and few months went by and season went, and suddenly no longer those beautiful colors went together. It was just one wild chaos. Why? Because I didn't have any structure that would hold that feminine changing beauty together. So I learned now, while I love when these magnificent roses and other plants are in full bloom, it's actually what holds this beautiful garden together is the masculine structure. It's the lavender borders or boxwood hedges, or the paths, or the pergolas and arches, or the evergreen trees that keep this garden beautiful throughout all 4 seasons, and they keep that all feminine beauty all together. Same in business, same in life. Sometimes we think, oh, I just don't want to do any more masculine. I don't want to plan. I don't want to do funnels. I don't want to do automation. I don't want to be this. I don't want to do that. I just want to be in my feminine flow. I just want to create. I just want to serve. Well, if that's the case in your business, you're hurting yourself, because yes, we can, through feminine creativity, create loads, but ultimately at one point you will be dependent on how that feminine energy flow at what season you're at. And believe me, there is not always summer in the garden. It's impossible to be in that feminine output all the time. It's like the rose is blooming. It's not going to bloom all year round. So what's going to happen in between those feminine creations? You've got to have that masculine structure. You've got to have those beautiful marketing funnels that are marketing for you when you rest, when you rejuvenate, when you integrate. You've got to have those different structures that support your feminine creative energy and magnify, multiply that feminine and creative energy. So again, if you've been rejecting masculine in your business or in your life, it's time to look, it's time to heal distorted aspects of the energy. And that's how you create that beautiful, most extraordinary growth in your business. Many of the clients that come to Business Energetics Academy initially actually reject masculine energy because perhaps they've been burned out before, they were too tired because they used the distorted aspects of the masculine working. But that doesn't mean that masculine does not belong into divine business. It very much does. We just got to do a little bit of work to marry divine and empowered masculine and feminine together, okay? Even today, one of our clients shared that she celebrated her first 70,000 British pounds month, which is a lot more in dollars. But what she shared is that she completely changed the structure of the business, masculine part, to support this flow, and it was done in a way that was completely aligned and super simple. So her business is much more simpler than ever before, but it grew many times over because she attended to masculine structures inside of herself and in her business. If you want to create the extraordinary growth in your business, it's time to do the same. My garden is a gentle reminder of that. Business energetic lesson from my garden number 3 is that you cannot rush a rose to bloom. No, you can try, but the rose will bloom in its own time. And we are doing this, trying to rush the blooming in our businesses so often because our little human so wants to measure up, so wants everything now, like tomorrow is too late, today is too late. So what we often do is we start to overcompensate by action. More action, quicker results. And yes, You can get quicker results by more physical output, by more efforting, by sacrificing your health, sacrificing your hobbies, your fulfillment, your family, and so forth. You will get faster results. But at what cost? Is it ever sustainable? Hell no. Energy works in cycles and in waves. Like this rose was a tiny little thing not long ago, and for a while it looked like nothing much is happening, but what it was doing, it was growing roots inside. It was growing depth. And that's what needs to sometimes happen in your business and life. You've got to work on your depth, your energetic depth, maybe some energetic patterns, maybe some business structures, and so forth and so forth. So not always throughout the year, throughout the seasons, you will see external growth. That internal depth, that growing roots is as powerful and as part of it as the bloom period, you see. So yes, my garden always reminds me that quantum leaping is amazing and it's inevitable. This is the season of quantum divergence, when results, when the blooms show. But guess what? In just a few weeks' time, those flowers will fall off, we will do some trimming, and then we will wait for the next flush. In between, I will be attending to roses, just like I've been attending to these roses throughout the year. So the energy can gather again, and they can have the next flush, and the next flush, and the next flush. And that's how it's supposed to work in your business too. Please, can you imagine this rose thinking like we human often do? Oh, I've got to grow this month by 5 centimeters more than last month because otherwise I'm not worthy. Roses don't do that. So you shouldn't do that either. But we do sometimes, right? Like, oh, I've got to grow my sales revenues this month by 20% more or 50% more than last month. Otherwise, nothing is working. No, it is working. It's just your business and business growth is working and is meant to work in seasons, in waves, in these beautiful sacred cycles. So I'm not asking you to be patient. I'm just asking you to go with your divine flow and trust it. That way, there is no end to how much beauty, growth, and expansion you can create. Gardening lesson for your business number 4. There is always another season. Meaning, look, I didn't become amazing gardener in one day. I made so many mistakes. I trimmed too much. I didn't trim enough. I over-fertilized. I under-fertilized. I mean, I can go on and on and on. But here's the thing. The nature always gives me another chance. There's always the next season. Yes, I might be a little patient until next year, but I learn from each mistake I learn, and the nature and the garden rewards me. Same in blinking business. We're sometimes so unforgiving towards ourselves. Oh my God, I messed up. I shouldn't do it this way. I shouldn't do it that way. No, 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 no. There is no such a thing as failure in our business. Failure is only when you give up. That's it. But there is fertilizer. All those mistakes that you made and perhaps are making, that is fertilizer, that is compost. You can often learn so much more from your failures than through success. I know it, sometimes I think, oh my goodness, I couldn't mess up literally more. Why did I even do this? But I didn't have that awareness. Of course, I did this because I didn't have awareness that would tell me not to do this. So you know what? I'll happily move through all those failures and all those mistakes because I know that it's all compost and fertilizer. More mistakes I allow myself to do, more I allow myself to quote unquote fail, faster I grow, faster my awareness grows, and faster my business grows. So thank you very much. I'll welcome those mistakes because there's always another season. And finally, one gardening lesson to which I come again and again is that the creation happens in stillness, not in doing, and also that the beauty is really in the journey. Let me explain. When I started gardening, this space was completely blank, just alone. There was only gazebo, one structure, and there was this thing in the middle that is holding something underneath. So basically something unmovable. And I would plan this garden in detail in my mind before I would start digging the middle borders for months. Literally, I would just sit in my conservatory every morning, and for a few minutes, or sometimes throughout the day or in the evening, I would just imagine what it would look like if I organized and designed the garden around this couple of structures. Would it look better like this, or would it look better like that? And I would play with that imagination, and it's that which creates your reality. It's imagination and the path of your heart, because the heart would tell me, oh, that would look magnificent, or that would look even better. So when I had that feeling, oh, that would look magnificent, I said, okay, that's the part of the design, so to speak. And then when I was happy with whatever was here in my mind and hearts, then I would go into action. Then I would start digging. Then I would start gathering resources, and so forth and so forth. And there's so much joy in actually digging and in actually planting and all of that work. I find that oh, sorry, I had to take my doggy because he's asking for mommy. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that I find that there is as much pleasure in working towards that outcome, towards that final bloom and final garden, than there is in the outcome itself. Oftentimes, we switch it other way around in our mind. Our little human likes to think that there is only value in the actual outcome itself. No, 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 no. The journey towards that outcome can be as rewarding, if not more. So I'll encourage you to reflect how you think in your business and life. Am I attaching to the outcome and only thinking that when I have that great next big month, great next big launch, great next whatever, that's then it's my business working, then I enjoy it, then I'm fulfilled, then I'm successful, and so forth? Or are you enjoying every bit of the journey? Because if we focus and attach to outcomes, so we got occasional dopamine hits, and in between, no good. But if we focus on the journey itself, then, oh my, there is no end to what we can create and how much fulfillment we can create through this process of co-creation. Equally, how much time do you spend by going, and how much time do you allow yourself to spend by visioning, by just being still? Because again, remember, all that you desire in your business and in your life, you already are. The source of it is your stillness, is the divinity within you. So we must allow ourselves to be still, to tap into that divinity, to tap into that which you already are. This garden existed long before I created it, but I allowed myself again and again, be still, go into my imagination and reveal it in my mind and heart first before I revealed it through action. And that was the purpose of action, is to really to help us to embody the energy of final outcome more, to become exact energetic match of it, and to really reveal what's already there. I sometimes use the example of a podcast. If, let's say, you desire to listen to your favorite podcast, you're not creating that podcast from scratch. You are simply using action to reveal what's already there. You first acknowledge, oh, I would love to listen to that podcast. You know it's possible, you know it's there, and therefore you take that action where you actually go to that, I don't know, Apple podcast player, or you open that phone and you then press play so you can enjoy the podcast that already pre-exists for you. It's same in business, it's same in life. Everything that you desire already pre-exists. You just got to tap into it in the stillness, let your heart speak, and then through action, allow yourself to embody that frequency more and more and to reveal what's already there for you. That's what I find is the best approach for business and for life. And personally, this is how I've been growing my business and impact more and more. And I know there are no limits to it. And that's why I'm so grateful that this garden often reminds me of that. Oh well, So these were the 5 little gardening lessons that I come back to again and again. I would love to hear from you which of these 5 lessons resonated with you most, what you will be implementing in your psyche, in your energy, in your business, in your life. And other than that, I'm going to remind you, remember, there is absolutely nothing you cannot be, do, or have. And I'll see you next time.